True.
Just like that, we're off, we're running. Another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond hanging out until 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning here in the Tennessee Valley. Good to be with you guys. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Tuesday morning. And a lot of great stuff happening around the area. Don't forget, tonight is the third edition of the College Football Playoff Rankings. They'll be released later this evening. So we have that to look forward to later tonight. 256-576-4977 if you want to join the show. But it's always good to talk about good wins, and it's always good to talk about good people. And last night, for the first time since 2017, our good friend Lenny Acuff and the Lipscomb Bison knock off Belmont in the Battle of the Boulevard. This one taking place at Lipscomb last night. So it's always good to talk about good people and good wins. And the Lipscomb Bison get it done last night. So
77-75, good job by the Bison and Coach Lenny Acuff. And that's a definite sign of progress with the program because everybody knows how good Belmont is. And he's done a heck of a job, building that program. It's taken a few years, but with what Coach Acuff likes to do, the culture that he likes to grow, it's not a quick fix.
Right.
When you hire a Lenny Acuff because he's a system coach, and we mean that with all due respect because he has to get his kind of guys in there and that are comfortable with his system, and he develops players. He does as good a job as that as anybody in college basketball. He certainly did that here at UAH, and that's why he's the winningest coach in Gulf South Conference history. So I just want to give a kudos to the Lipscomb administration for being patient and allowing him to build that program. He's had some really good wins already at Lipscomb. He nearly made the conference tournament, the NCAA tournament. Pardon me. In year one, they lost in the championship game of the conference tournament. So he's just shown signs of this many times already, and hopefully that was a breakthrough last night because that's a huge rivalry. I mean, they're right down the road. It's kind of like if you wanted to describe it,
by across the street.
It's
attached to each other.
It's basically a group of five North Carolina Duke kind of thing because North Carolina and Duke are so close to each other, just about a few minutes down the road, and that's the way this is in Nashville. And quite frankly, both of these programs are better than Vanderbilt.
And they're all separate, and Vanderbilt's right there too. Lipscomb, Belmont, and Vanderbilt are all kind of one big circle.
Vanderbilt would probably lose to both of them.
Anyway, I believe Belmont is making the leap to the Missouri Valley. They're
they
in the Missouri
are.
Valley, or they're
going
to be. Yeah. All right. Hey, if you head to our Twitter page this morning, and if you follow Twitter, if you were on Twitter, yesterday was comical because everybody is trying to create these parody accounts right now and say that Lane Kiffin is on his way to be the Auburn head coach. If you followed it yesterday, you would have believed that Lane Kiffin was actually in Auburn. People were going to so far as tracking planes and putting planes down in Auburn, but Lane Kiffin is not the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. So if you head to our Twitter page, you can take a part in the poll. It's who do you think is going to end up being the next Auburn head coach? Is it Hugh Freeze, Lane Kiffin, Carnell Williams, or other? And right now, at 40%, somebody outside of that group of three is going to be the head coach according to everyone else. They are putting other as 40%. So a lot of people aren't buying the fact right now that Hugh Freeze or Lane Kiffin will be the head coach, either one of those. So somebody is feeling outside of those group of three.
Well, I've said before, and I'm not changing my mind, that Hugh Freeze is the best candidate for Auburn, but I really don't think it's going to be Hugh Freeze. I don't think they're going to hire him, and I don't think it's going to be Lane Kiffin either. So I think it's going to be somebody
you would be in
from
that outside.
I would definitely be with the 40% that says outside. I don't think it's going to be Lane. I think Lane Train and Jimmy Sexton are going to get him another raise from Ole Miss, and that he's going to stay put. So
and Jimmy Sexton is Hugh Freeze's agent as well.
Oh yeah, he's everybody's agent, man, pretty much. He knows where the pieces are going, and so I just don't. It's never the most obvious guy Now, even with Nick Saban going to Alabama 16 years ago, people talked about Saban beforehand, but then it was nearly Rich Rodriguez, who's now at Jacksonville State, and he turned the job down for a raise from West Virginia and should have stayed there the rest of his career and nearly wrecked it because he ended up going to Michigan, and we see how good a fit that was.
His career has wrecked. From
but
Michigan to Arizona
because
to
he nearly won
State.
nearly played for a national championship, I should say. Like Don Nehlen at West Virginia years ago when they played against Notre Dame when they had Major Harris, and he was very close to doing that, but they choked against Pitt in the backyard brawl when he had Pat White and those guys over there, Pat White from Daphne High School. But again, he should have stayed at West Virginia. He was a king there, and he tried to move up the ladder, and he was a terrible fit at Michigan, and he didn't last. And then Alabama went out and got Nick Saban. But these coaching searches usually have twists and turns, and I know excuse me, that John Cohen's handling things for Auburn now, so we'll see, what ends up happening. And now I will say this. Another intriguing offensive coordinator option for Alabama, and yes, I'm expecting B.O.B. to move on back to the National Football League or another head coaching opportunity potentially on the college level after this year. But they fired former Alabama administrator Shane Lyons as AD at West Virginia. And come on, let's just get real here. We know what's going – their president, Gordon Gee, who's the former president of the Ohio State Suckeyes, came out and said, well, we're not making any changes at least for the next few weeks. Come on. Everybody knows what's going to happen. If you fire the athletic director, you're fixing to fire the football coach.
Neil Brown is on his way out.
But I just think Neil Brown might end up being an interesting OC candidate. He's an air raid guy, but he did a great job as an OC and an offensive mind and did a great job at Troy before moving on to West Virginia, but he could just never get them over the hump. So there's just some guys that are really good coordinators, and I think he's one of them. So, and he has ties to the state of Alabama, being at Troy and things of that nature. So we'll see. I'm not saying, of course, he's getting the job. I'm just saying he'll be. And you know how much I love these lists, but he'll be on a list when I think Alabama starts making changes, and potentially for whoever the new Auburn coach is. We don't really know who that is right now. But. I just don't think it's going to be Lane Kiffin or even Hugh Freeze, even though I think Freeze would be a really good fit. But he does have baggage and things of that nature, and so I think that Auburn is going to go in a different direction.
Let's go to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
There's a guy that is on that show Thinking Out Loud. He writes for SI. He's got a few projections out for the playoff. He's got Georgia playing TCU and Ohio State and USC playing. That's who he thinks his forward's going to be. Of course, I don't know if TCU, if they win out, they'll be in it. But
they'll win it. If they win out, they'll be in it, Jeff. There's no doubt. Yeah, they're. I'm still not convinced they will win out, but if they do, they will be in it.
Yeah, and then he's got like different ones. He's got Alabama playing the Orange Bowl. He's got Tennessee playing the Cotton Bowl. He's got them playing the New Year's Six, and he's got Troy playing in Mobile, which that'd be good for them. They'd sell a lot of tickets. I don't know how far Troy is from Mobile. It can't be that far away.
No,
it's not that far, and they sell a lot. But he had different ones, just different teams. He's got Iowa playing. I can't remember, Iowa playing Louisville in the Bronx, and he's got in the Liberty Bowl. He's got Kansas and Kentucky, so that'd be a different, interesting football matchup. But just wanted to throw that out, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. As far as TCU goes, Drew, this is the Horned Frogs' remaining regular season games. Okay, they travel to Baylor,
right,
and then they host Iowa State.
Well, they should beat Iowa State.
That's it, yeah.
Now, Baylor's is a dangerous road trip because I think Baylor's a pretty good football team. But it was a dangerous road trip to Texas, and I fell for it and thought Texas would be ready, and they gagged all over themselves. So they still are completely mediocre.
And then they have whoever is second
in the Big 12.
In the Big 12 because they don't do divisions anymore. Remember?
Yeah, we talked about that.
So right now, if you are looking at the Big 12 and wondering who that would be, right now it looks like it's Kansas State.
And that's dangerous. Kansas State is a really good football team. I know they lost to Tulane early, but they're very physical. Martinez has had a good, run at quarterback. And so would it shock me if K-State upset TCU? No, but if TCU can beat Baylor and beat K-State, because I'm assuming they're going to beat Iowa State.
They should. Iowa State is 1-6 in Big 12 play.
This has not been – Matt Campbell was thought to be a hot coach at one time.
He's cooled off. And his name has disappeared.
Well, he trust me, he's not going to Nebraska. You can't sell your fans on – bringing in a coach with a 1-6, Big 12 record, and
Auburn
you certainly but you have to understand how that worked. Gene was the defensive coordinator on the national championship team, at Auburn before he left to go to Texas, and then helped Texas win a championship, and then helped Auburn win a national championship as a head coach. But I guess my point is Gene Chizik had been at Auburn. He was a favorite of Pat Dye's, and so that's the reason he ended up the Auburn head coach for a few seasons. But I just don't, and again, and speaking of Baylor, their offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, if he ends up being the coach at Auburn and his name has come up, it's going to be because of his previous history there. Because if you look at every Auburn coaching search, but the only thing is now you've got John Cohen as AD.
Right.
But in the last several coaching searches, really since Terry Bowden was ousted and they hired Tommy Tuberville, because Tuberville didn't have any real ties to Auburn. Since Tuberville got the zig, pretty much every coach has had some sort of tie to Auburn, either been an assistant there before or, had a close relationship with Pat Dye. But Pat Dye, good Lord rest his soul, is not there anymore. And so that's why it's going to be interesting to see what John Cohen does, because Grimes' name has come up because he has done a good job for Dave Aranda at Baylor. But it's mainly because he's had a couple of stints at Auburn as an assistant coach. The interesting part is they haven't brought up Dave Aranda's name. But Dave Aranda signed a big contract with Baylor after last year when some thought he might even be headed to LSU, if you remember that, because of his ties to LSU for several years as the defensive coordinator. So we'll see. But, again, I just – my gut tells me – and I'm sure Auburn has interest in Lane Kiffin. But I just don't think he's going to go, because I think his ultimate end game is he still thinks in his mind he could be the Alabama coach in a few years or be back in the NFL. And because, again, we've seen some of this clown patrol stuff up here in the NFL. And if some of these fools like, Cliff Kingsbury, who never won a damn thing as a college coach, can be a head coach in the NFL, and he's not really winning in the NFL, okay?
No, he's not.
Then I think Lane Kiffin can get another opportunity. Now, is Cliff Kingsbury a great offensive coordinator? Yeah, and I had somebody tweet at me and say, but he would never consider going to Alabama. Well, I just threw it out there. He's a guy that's a quarterback guy. He coached Johnny Boy. Maybe he wouldn't go to Alabama. I don't know.
To me, I think the ego would get into the way. He would have to have another head coaching job. I don't think he would slip back into a coordinator
I think,
position.
if I remember correctly, before he left to get the head coaching job, shockingly, with the Cardinals, he was about to be the OC for Clay Helton at USC.
Yes, he was.
He had taken that job, and he was going to be paid a lot of money to coordinate their offense. So I'll just say this. If Lane Kiffin would go work for Nick Saban and Steve Sarkisian, I don't know why Cliff Kingsbury wouldn't. But, the guy seemed pretty adamant that tweeted at me. He said that there's no way Cliff Kingsbury would go. And I was like, well, maybe not. And I don't even know. He might not even be a candidate. I just don't think it should be an NFL guy, because NFL, it's just the NFL game and the college game, they are adapting to some of the RPOs and the things of that nature and doing some different things, like with the Eagles and with Tua Tagovailoa, both who had been at Alabama. But for the most part, the NFL is still a cookie-cutter, everybody doing some sort of the same thing kind of offensive deal.
Kingsbury was actually hired as the USC.
He was, he was announced, and then all of a sudden he resigned.
It cost USC cost him just $150,000 to leave USC.
Yeah, because I was shocked. I could not believe it. I was like, Cliff Kingsbury, who couldn't win with Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech, is getting a head coaching job in the NFL. That's where the NFL is right now.
Yeah,
they're getting so desperate to grab these, what they think are these wizard wonderkin guys. And again, it goes to show you sometimes they think outside the box, because Cliff didn't play very long in the NFL. It's not like he was some great NFL player, but they trusted him to come to the National League. And he's had a little bit of success, but it's not been anything sustainable.
Not what they thought it was going to be.
And right now it's a dumpster fire, even though they did beat the Rams, who were a bigger dumpster fire after winning the Super Bowl. So it just goes to show you how hard it is to repeat.
All right, Richard's with us this morning. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. We were talking about Lipscomb earlier, but really college basketball tips off tonight.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Michigan State and Kentucky. That is a.
And why didn't Jeff say anything about that? I mean, it is basketball season
he's
now.
Probably worried.
Now that they, I mean, I should have quit. I should have told him when he said Kansas and Kentucky in a bowl game that it's be a much better college basketball matchup than 5 people watching it in football.
Kansas Duke tonight. You got Kansas Duke tonight. I think Marquette's going to Purdue. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then JT and Troy beat Florida State last night.
They sure did. Scott
Cross. Florida got beat by Florida Atlantic last night.
I know. It was bad for the state of Florida last night, man. As far as the flagship schools, it was really bad. Yeah. And then if you look at Florida State, Scott, they are 0-3. And I'm just talking about they've already lost to 2 teams in their own state. UCF and Johnny Dawkins blew them out. And then they've lost 2 other games. I'm sorry. I think they've lost a bunch in their state. I think Stetson beat them.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw something that Stetson may be the best program in the state right now.
Oh, Lord.
Well, let's see.
I'm heading down to watch. I'm going to head down and watch the Tide play tonight here later on after I work about a half a day here. So
you're headed to Mobile, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to head down to Mobile, get some warm weather. Be cold with you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't like this already, but yeah.
I mean, Scott's a native of Iowa where it's really, really cold. Like, we think this is cold. This is not Iowa cold, but Scott doesn't.
Still, though, I don't like I mean, I'm here long enough to know. I mean, I'm here long enough now that I don't have to like it.
All right.
We were talking about Lipscomb and Belmont. I saw, I guess, Tennessee State's first game, and I don't know how close they are. I know they're in Nashville, but they drew 9,000.
Oh yeah, they're pro. We've actually had their head coach on, and they did sign Canute Wood from Brooks, who is a true freshman point guard. So they have some ties to this community, no doubt about it.
Yeah, like I said, Nashville, like you said, outside of Vanderbilt, pretty good basketball up there. So
yeah, Vanderbilt's off to a terrible start.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole team last year was Pippen, and you lose him and out. So it doesn't actually. Dessou, who was on the team 2 years ago, is the starting center for Texas now. So.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Brian Collins does a great job at Tennessee State. He's a high energy guy, and I know he's been promoting their program, and I know they're excited, and I know Canute was excited. His family. We had Canute on our show. He became the first, I believe, Division I basketball player ever out of Brooks High School.
Huh. Pretty amazing.
Now, they've had football players, as you know, but just not basketball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even know he was playing up there, so that's pretty good then.
Yeah.
So you guys think Tennessee can get in the playoff then, or?
I don't know. I want to see. I'm just curious to see where they slide into tonight. Where does the committee put Tennessee? Do they put them at 5? Do they put them right behind? I mean, it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, probably TCU. Where do they slide Clemson in? Where do they slide Tennessee in? Where do they put USC? I want to see where they come out.
To me, if you do any strength of schedule at all in Tennessee, but they're not going to be the conference champion.
No.
So, but strength of schedule with beating Alabama, and even playing Georgia, beating Alabama, LSU out, it's going to be, none of those other teams, like USC or Clemson, strength of schedule is, might as well play in the Gulf South Conference or whatever. I mean.
Yeah, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU. I anticipate those to be the 4.
Yeah,
in there. Where do they put Tennessee? Where do they put USC? I imagine Tennessee should be 5. If I'm the committee, I'm putting Tennessee at number 5.
And here's the dangerous thing, because the last regular season game for USC is at home, but it's against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has already ended it, in my opinion, for Clemson. I don't think Clemson should be in. So Notre Dame could do us all a big favor and just whack USC.
So you'd be rooting for Notre Dame?
Oh, my Lord.
You would be rooting for Notre Dame.
I mean, probably.
one thing you have to,
because I hate them both. So you have to hate one more than the other.
Notre Dame's probably going to buy a lot of the seats up, so it's not going to be that much of a road game, you would think.
Yeah, you may be right about that, Richard.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not I don't dislike USC per se. I mean, they're very tradition rich. I'm just not a big Lincoln Riley guy. So.
Well, like I said, they just hadn't played, but they keep beating up on each other because actually the Oregon-Washington game was an entertaining Saturday night. It was an entertaining game.
See, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think eventually I don't think SC will win out with just one loss to a really good Utah team. I think they'll drop a second game, and that's why you won't have a Pac-12 representative in the playoff. And I still think there's a decent shot for both Michigan and Ohio State to get in, and even Tennessee and Georgia. I just think but TCU holds the key. TCU, if they win out, just like if Oregon had won out, but Oregon, couldn't do it, and they dropped the game to Washington. But if TCU wins out undefeated like Cincinnati a year ago, they're going to be in it.
And they don't have divisions in the Pac-12 either. I believe it's just 1 and 2. So right now, if you're looking at it, it's USC and Oregon for the Pac-12 Conference Championship, because I believe Utah has one loss, but I don't think they have the tiebreak. So I'm pretty sure it's USC and Oregon for the Pac-12 in the Pac-12 Championship game.
Yeah.
So if USC beats Notre Dame and then they turn around and beat Oregon, that's 2 big wins in there for USC, which I think would put them in the mix. Not getting them in there, but it would put them in the mix.
Yeah.
Drew, who are the offensive coordinators at Washington and Oregon? I mean, those guys, they move the ball.
Oregon is Kenny Dillingham, who used to be at Auburn under Gus, but wasn't allowed to call plays, and Gus almost ruined his career.
I mean, like I said, no defense at all Saturday night, but both teams, passing and running the ball were, just up and down the field the whole game just about.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game coming up on Saturday, because Oregon has to bounce back after that loss, and they host Utah, and so Utah.
There you go. So that will give a tie break there between Oregon and Utah. One of those will play in the Pac-12 championship game, more likely against USC. All right, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks for the phone call.
Safe trip, man.
Yep. Have fun tonight. We got to have some fun because we got to take a break, and when we come back, Mark McLeod will help us talk Florida Gators. Football, not basketball, because I'm sure that loss last night is not making them happy. We'll get that break in now.
Yeah.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. Still working on one wreck, old railroad bed north of Rock Creek. That one did report with an injury, so they've been working to get it clear. Everything else looks okay this morning. Streets are wet, so that's a problem. Try to get out the door early if you can. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. I had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And yes, my son Lewis McDonald enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of your friends. He is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And you can't be in this community doing business without knowing West neighbors.
I don't know about that, but it sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and the different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we close business. We close some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
It's pro time because at Lowe's, it's Provember. Save big with inventory you can count on, like Flex products or DeWalt power tools starting at just $99. Plus, Lowe's MVPs members earn up to 3 times bonus points per dollar on select items. Save all Provember long. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. MVP's Pro Rewards Program terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms. Subject to change. Prices valid from 10/17/22 to 2/3/23 or until supplies last.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Did you know the state's top-ranked private school is here in Huntsville? What about one of the nation's few Orton Gillingham Academy accredited schools? At Randolph School, our experienced teachers and coaches challenge and nurture students as they prepare for college and life. Our pre-K through 12 school includes Greengate School at Randolph, serving students with dyslexia. Parents, we know that you are your child's biggest advocate, and we invite you to explore your education options. Schedule a tour at randolphschool.net.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Tuesday morning edition of the show. Great first conversation there in that first segment. Talked a little bit of everything, some college basketball, some college football. The latest playoff rankings come out tonight. Expectations. Threw in some bowl expectations. Nothing real serious there. But down the stretch, the Florida Gator football team has some work to do, and that starts on Saturday. Big win for Florida this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Now they get a Vanderbilt squad this weekend that they should be able to.
Well, let's not pull a Kentucky. We're not going to pull Will Levis here.
I said should.
Because it is at Vandy.
Okay. All right, I know Mark McLeod is waiting for us, but would you take Will Levis or Anthony Richardson?
I'd take Anthony Richardson.
There we go. That leads in perfectly to our next guest.
Well, I just think Florida's playing better football right now. I think Kentucky's been struggling ever since, they just fell off the planet and, barely escaped against Ole Miss. Ole Miss escaped against them. It's almost like Kentucky had a hangover when they blew that game and Levis threw up all over himself and they didn't beat, the Ole Miss in Oxford the way they should have. They just haven't been the same. And so they were flat and they lost to Vanderbilt. But see, Billy Napier, I still am, I ended up being right about LSU being much better than people thought they were going to be in the preseason because I picked them in the top 2 in the West. Hell, they won it. I didn't count on that, but they did. And then I picked Florida, to finish 3rd ahead of Tennessee. Now, that's not going to happen. Tennessee's going to finish 2nd. But I still thought Florida could go 8-4 best case scenario. And they can't because they've got Vanderbilt on the road, and then they've got Florida State. And Florida State's had a better year than anticipated. That game will actually be, or has a chance to be anyway, a really competitive game, a really highly anticipated game between these two fan bases for the first time in a while because both programs seem to be going up while the Miami Hurricanes are in the toilet. But we're going to talk about that with our next guest, and he has the daily show each Monday through Friday called The Blitz. He's a great friend of mine, and it's a outstanding show on WFOY in St. Augustine, Florida. The Blitz, of course, is every Monday through Friday, as we said. He also has the daily podcast, The Gator Blitz and The Gridiron Growl. I've been part of both of those, and, of course, we're talking about Mark McLeod. Mark, welcome back to the show, man. Good morning.
Hey, Drew. Good to be on with you and Scott.
Yeah, good to be. Hey, and I know it's been like a roller coaster ride. You and I have been texting all season, and the Gators have played well at times, and then at times it's been maddening. It's almost been kind of like Alabama, but Florida didn't have the expectations Alabama did. But when you have a first-year coach, a lot of times what you want to see is how they played down the stretch of the first year, and this Gator team seems to be getting better.
Yeah, they really do. And as you guys know, you get a new coach, you don't get total buy-in. You do not get complete buy-in. There's always going to be a few that are some issues. Of course, Florida parted ways with Brenton Cox Jr. A little over a week ago. So they've had 2 games without him, and believe it or not, the pass rush and everything happening at the line of scrimmage is looking better. And, I think Napier needed to send that message. This has been an ongoing problem all year with him. According to sources. And look, he's not the only guy. There's still 1 or 2 guys I think left on that team who they're trying to continue to work with and get them fully invested. But we'll see if that happens. But overall, the team is playing well. I think the message was sent, and you've seen a Florida defense actually kind of emerge from the shadows of the Todd Grantham era and a defense that looks like it's flying to the football, it's playing fast, and it's creating takeaways.
Wins do a lot to create a lot of optimism, and wins do a lot to a first-year head coach to set the tone going forward. If they are able to get through Vanderbilt and then in that regular season with a win on the road at now a ranked Florida State squad, what would that do for Billy Napier? How would that translate into a year one review?
I think it would be huge. It would be huge. I mean, because he's already doing a fantastic job recruiting.
Oh, yes.
They brought Katie Turner over from the University of Georgia. She had done a fabulous job with Georgia. She's doing the same thing at Florida. You saw the flip of Jaden Rashada, the hotshot quarterback from California who was with the Canes, and now he's flipped to Florida. I think overall, guys, when you look at what they're doing, if you've watched Florida football closely over the past few weeks, you're seeing a lot more of a playing time for the young guys, for the freshmen.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is important. I think that's a great selling point to kids that, look, if you can come in, you're ready to play, you get yourself ready, we're going to put you in there because we need you. There are a few Florida veteran players that aren't getting as many snaps in games right now. And that may be part of the buy-in process. That may be part of the development of the young players. I mean, that's for Billy Napier to answer. And I don't know that he'd really want to say completely, but I think that's huge. And I think it goes back to Drew's point. I mean, this is an improved football team. It really is. And you can see it. Florida State's an improved football team. So a win in Tallahassee over a ranked Florida State team, when you look at the Florida schedule and look at who they've lost to, if that would be another step up for the Gators.
It would, and then you already mentioned Brenton Cox, and you answered our question about that. Obviously, it was a buy-in issue. He didn't mesh with the coaching staff. He had his issues and left Georgia after a year, and then came to Florida and sat out, and then has been a Gator. So we'll see. But is the same situation? Was it the same deal with Kamar Wilcoxon going into the portal?
I think so. Yeah, I think there was a lot of that. And look, I don't know what exactly is happening with Trent Whittemore. He's a receiver. Got some catches last year for Florida. Looked pretty good, but he hasn't been able to see the field. He put himself in the portal yesterday. His brother, Creed Whittemore, is a quarterback at Buchholz High School in Gainesville. Tremendous athlete, really fast. He just really can do a lot. Was committed to Florida. A few weeks ago, he decommitted. So you can see the writing on the wall there.
Yes.
And their dad, by the way, guys, Mark Whittemore, is the head coach at Buchholz, which is one of the better programs in the North Central Florida area. They're fabulous.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you before you finish this. I'm sorry. I apologize for interrupting, Mark, because you know high school football there. I believe there's a kid that a lot of Power 5 schools are recruiting also at Buchholz. Is it Jaron Hamilton? Is that where he is? Wide receiver.
He is there. Yeah, I believe he's there.
Yeah, I got
you. Kids move around so much. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I know they do, man. In the state of Florida, it blows my mind. In Florida and Georgia, the transfer rules, that how liberal they are.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I thought you were going to ask me about Gavin Hill.
And Gavin Hill, yeah, I know they're loaded. Yeah,
he's committed to Florida. So he's from Buchholz, but
they both are. Yeah,
as you know, Drew, it's a great recruiting class. This is a class where, number one, it meets Florida's needs. There's a lot of stuff, and look, Florida's going to have to meet the rest of those needs in the transfer portal, as you know. They have a lot of work to do, and as Napier says, a lot of grass to mow. And that was refreshing, because Florida's had their struggles, as you guys alluded to earlier in the season, and now you come back and you lose to Georgia, but you get a win over Texas A&M, which is just a dumpster fire.
Oh.
You have a loss or a win over South Carolina, and to do it in the fashion they did it in,
30
just dominating win. And this is needed. And Napier comes in a press conference, praises them for the things they did, and looks at us and says, guys, we still have a long way to go. I mean, there's still so many little things. If we can correct some of these little things, it'll be even better. And the players are recognizing this. I hope you guys are recognizing this now, and it's just a really good sell.
Billy Napier, obviously, is he happy with his coordinators? Patrick Toney, Rob Sale, Sean Spencer. Is he happy with his coordinators on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, he is, Scott.
Okay.
And maybe the point you're alluding to. Look, there was a lot of criticism on Patrick Toney 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, defensively.
A lot of criticism.
Yeah.
Florida's defense had not looked good for several games. Just a lot of issues with the defense overall. But, I mean, after how many years of Todd Grantham, and you got to get that stuff out of your system. And as I said, if you look, you'll see some young freshmen. You'll see some young guys playing now who weren't getting much playing time earlier. So there's been a developmental process, and I think there's been a bit of a look. If you guys still aren't going to get it, your veteran players, that what we're asking you to do, then you're going to be surpassed on the depth chart. And there's been a bit of that.
Yeah, because sometimes under a first-year head coach, they bring in these new coordinators, and sometimes on the outside it looks like they're going to fit. Then once you get them in there, the head coach is like, you know what, maybe it wasn't a great fit. We're going to move on. So I was just wondering, too, from that aspect, because it's just – how's that first year going there with Napier?
Well, no, yeah, and Scott and I discussed this because Nick Saban had to make changes after the first year. But but I think the big changes that Mark has alluded to, and the reason this defense is playing better is you get rid of two knuckleheads like Will Coxon and Brenton Cox who are doing their own thing, and you get young players in there who are being coachable.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you look at the Florida offense right now, rushing 665 yards the past 2 games. I think they're number 2 nationally behind Ole Miss in FCS rushing.
They're
you
running
look at
the
Florida
football.
defense, as I alluded to. Florida leads the Southeastern Conference right now in turnover margin. I don't know if anybody recognizes that, but the Florida defense, guys, 21 takeaways this season now.
Wow.
And this really started over the past 5 weeks, where the defense has really grown, and they are just getting takeaway after takeaway. And, of course, I'm sure you saw our Heisman Trophy candidate, Desmond Watson, with the takeaway of the back and at 6'5 and a half, 440, trying to make a run toward the end zone, but Rattler made the tackle.
That's about all Rattler did, though. We were ripping Rattler at that point. You talk about somebody's been overrated. Good Lord, what him and Will Levis on a room together.
Yeah, Rattler's got 7 Heismans by now.
And Will Levis is supposed to go in the top 5. And like I told him, Mark, of the what? The XFL draft, the CFL draft, or maybe the USFL draft. But if it's in the top 5 of the NFL draft, start firing people.
Well, at least Rattler can add a tackle to his resume.
Yeah, exactly. Good Lord. But this would be big, though. Rashada's flip, I thought, was and again, Miami, speaking of dumpster fires, they're terrible. So they were able to flip Rashada, which I thought was huge. And just reading yesterday in the tea leaves, and I've been talking to Corey Bender quite a bit on my recruiting show, and he does an outstanding job tracking Florida recruiting. It sounds like Billy and his staff believe that they're going to flip some more.
Yeah, they do. They do. There are some big kids, some elite kids that they believe they're going to be able to bring into Gainesville. Right now, I think they're sitting at 23 commits.
Right.
Don't hold me to that, but I believe that's right.
Mm-hmm. Top 10 in the country.
Look, as we said, and look, the 2 areas of really great need for Florida. Let me go 3. Defensive tackle is number 1. Mm-hmm. Florida has to have some D tackles. I mean, Jervon Dexter's probably going to go. He's in all the mock drafts as a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So he's probably gone. Florida, because of the poor recruiting by Dan Mullen and his staff, they desperately need some defensive tackles. And I got to believe they go to the portal and get a couple guys. They're almost going to have to. I think wide receiver, if you watch the Florida wide receiver play, it's not elite by any standard. They've got some good kids coming in this class, but I think they're going to have to hit the portal and bring in 1, maybe 2 more guys there as well. And then offensive line. They're only going to lose a couple offensive linemen, it looks like, but you lose your left tackle. You're going to lose an All-American in Osiris Torrance, who, by the way, was coached up at Louisiana by Napier, brought to Florida, and he's performed beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, the SEC co-offensive lineman of the week this week. So he's been fabulous. And I think they're going to need really some help on the O-line, too. They got to beef that up, and they're doing some nice things recruiting there. They flipped Roderick Kearney, the kid from Orange Park, Florida, who had been committed to Florida State, a 4-star kid. And they really had hoped to get a couple of those kids committed to Miami to come up this past weekend for a visit. But at the last minute, boy, Miami had to do some talking and some arm twisting, and those kids decided not to come to Gainesville.
Well, they better be getting wising up. I mean, I love Mario Cristobal as a recruiter, but not as a coach, and I don't see how you can hide strap your wagon. I don't care how much money you're making because, again, your end game is going to the NFL, and that's where you make the real money. And right now, Miami looks like a rudderless ship, while Florida and Florida State seem to be stabilizing themselves. But again, I know lately the Florida State matchup has lost some luster, but going into this one, if Florida and Florida State take care of business this weekend, Mark, you're talking about 8-3 and 7-4, and that. But I call that progress. I think it would be a big game, especially for bowl position. And I'm just being blunt. I want to be right. I want to be right that Florida wins 8.
Well, yeah, and to your point, the Gator Bowl people were in the stadium watching Florida this past weekend. You go back 2 weeks ago, the Gator Bowl people wouldn't have had Florida on their radar at all.
Yeah.
But Florida's turning the corner, and it appears they are anyway. And even Billy Napier wasn't ready to say we've turned the corner. He said it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you're right. And look, those extra to get to a Gator Bowl game, I think would be huge for Florida because nobody really projected that. I think you were looking at a much lesser bowl going into the season, and even a few weeks ago. So yeah, big from all points. And our good friend Brett Norsworthy,
yes,
told me a few years ago, he goes, hey, Virginia Tech hired the wrong guy. The guy they should have hired is down in Tallahassee. And we were joking about that even at SEC Media Days again, Drew. But it was interesting. But I tell you, Norvell's done a nice job. He's worked the transfer portal. He's recruiting pretty well. And look, this is a school that doesn't have much money. They don't have a whole lot going on in terms of additions for facilities and stuff like that without making some major moves on the campus. And that would have to go through the president. And it's just a much more difficult situation. It's not like typical, so let's say SEC school when they want to build and develop something.
Well, speaking of building and developing, to wrap it up, what about the progress with Anthony Richardson? Scott was just talking about him. He said, would you take Anthony Richardson and Will Levis? And I said, Anthony Richardson 9 or 10 times out of 10. There's no way. Matter of fact, it would be 10. What am I saying? There's no way I'd take Will Levis. But what kind of progress has he made?
He's made a lot of progress, really has. It's like the old receiving tree we used when we were in youth league football,
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like in Utah. And because he only had to look in one direction, he saw a receiver here, down the field here, and downfield here, and they kept everything. But now they're all over the field. He's looking around. He's making, for the most part, good decisions. There's still some issues there at times. He's running the ball a little bit more, which he desperately, in my opinion, needed to do, and he didn't do it for a few weeks. And now in the South Carolina game, he ran the ball a bit more early in the game in the first half. The issue really now is getting his confidence, because his accuracy is not what it needs to be whatsoever.
Yeah,
and he's even commented on it. So he and Napier have talked about it. That's something they really have to work on. So. Again, a little bit of mechanics, but certainly getting that accuracy together. And I think he goes through kind of trends where he gets a little down on himself, and Napier's talked about that with us, that he's really hard on himself when he's not performing well, and he knows he needs to correct. But I think it's just maturity. He needs to mature, be like a baseball pitcher, put that home run that you just served up behind you and get to the next pitch. And I think he needs to play with a little more confidence in terms of throwing the football. The short intermediate routes, he doesn't throw as well as he does the deep routes. And if you look at his stats over the past few games, you can see where it's been a problem.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, great stuff, Mark. We appreciate you coming on, talking Gators with us. Let everybody know how to connect with your daily show.
Yeah, absolutely. The Blitz with Mark McLeod, certainly at McLeod Live on Twitter. And then the podcast should have a Gator Blitz podcast up later in the week.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Mark. Let's get that break in. Wrap up hour one of Talking Ball when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We should be all clear accident-wise now. Haven't picked up anything new. Had one on Old Railroad Bed north of Rock Creek that was an injury type, but it should be pretty well wrapped up now. Streets are wet. You be careful this morning. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick and the 72 and Jeff, Popeye, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellowhammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Men, are you having performance issues in the bedroom? Is erectile dysfunction affecting your confidence and self-esteem? Is your relationship being impacted? If ED is a problem in your life, maybe it's time to make the last time you had bad sex the last time you'll have bad sex. At the Huntsville Men's Clinic, we've successfully treated many men in the area for ED and given them back their confidence, their positivity, and in many cases, helped their relationships. Our expertise is second to none, and our practice is staffed by quality medical professionals. Beyond this, the treatments we use have proven success rates as high as 90%. And unlike online pharmacies that just sell pills or wave clinics that only offer one treatment option, we have a variety of treatment protocols, including acoustic wave therapy. We found that sometimes a combination of therapies works best, and a one-size-fits-all approach can't get you there. So make the call. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. Call 256-368-0333 or go to HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman, hope to see you soon.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, getting ready to wrap up hour number 1 of the show this morning. And you know what? We didn't even get to mention it yesterday, but congratulations to our good friend John Summerall.
Yes.
And the Troy Trojans. They do get a hard win over Army 10-9.
Well, I said it right as we were in the show. I said, way to go, Troy. They beat Army 10-9.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. And I take the days, man. I don't even know what day it is. I think
today's Tuesday.
I know. I think it was actually the Bama recap show at the end of it. I said, way to go, Troy. Because they're now 8-2.
Yeah, they've got 8 wins in his first year as head coach. 8 wins for John Summerall in his first year as head coach.
And we already heard the Will Levis fan club call in today and say that they might be going to the Camellia Bowl, I guess, in Mobile or where. No, that's in Montgomery. What's the one in Mobile? What is the bowl game in Mobile?
Oh, man.
I can't even remember.
I don't give a damn bowl.
What? I'm not going to say that. It's in our state. I don't know. I can't keep up with the damn sponsors. They change every 2 years. I think they call it the Camellia Bowl now in Montgomery, but I mean, it's the Crampton Bowl.
It used to be the Raycom Camellia Bowl.
Yeah,
and Raycom got out of it, so now
So what is the bowl?
The Lending Tree Bowl.
See, I would have never got that. The Lending Tree Bowl in Mobile.
Didn't it used to be called something else?
Probably. I can't keep up.
I want to
with
say
these
it was the
sponsors.
Dollar General Bowl.
The Dollar General Bowl. Man, if they gave me a gift card, I'd go buck wild in that place, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
originally known as the Mobile, Alabama Bowl.
Oh, just the Mobile Bowl. Okay.
But then in 2018, it was the Dollar General Bowl.
It was the Dollar General Bowl, and now it's the Lending Tree Bowl.
And then before that, it was the GoDaddy Bowl.
So
it's been a bunch of names.
Now, is that where the winner of the Sun Belt goes? Like if they win the league and they win the championship game? Is that the top of the food chain? I'm just asking.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I would love to tell you.
Google that. Just say, Sun Belt Conference champion. But I know there's got to be a tie-in somewhere.
It just says it was teams between the MAC and the Sun Belt.
Yeah. Well, that's
so it
probably
says Buffalo in 18. Buffalo received the automatic, or Buffalo received a bid.
Yeah.
They were 10-3, 7-1 in the conference, losing to Northern Illinois in the MAC championship game.
Uh-oh.
So maybe where.
Maybe I'll Google it. I don't know.
I don't know. See, I don't know.
Oh, I got a message from Freddie Kirby talking about the GoDaddy Bowl, man.
Sunbelt Champion Bowl game.
And then he made a great point. He said Troy should have 9 wins if it wasn't that freaking Hail Mary against Appalachian. They'd be 9-1 with their only loss to the Lane Train.
So the New Orleans Bowl gets the 2nd selection, and the Lending Tree Bowl got the 5th selection.
5th.
That was in 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know who gets. Oh, it's the Carriers Bowl in New Orleans.
The Carriers Bowl.
That's the one. That's who gets the Sun Belt champion.
I'm sorry. I've got him going to New Orleans, Jeff. I don't have him going to some. Never mind. I don't have him going to Mobile. Okay.
You got him going to New Orleans.
I've got him going to New Orleans.
That's where the Sun
New
Belt
Orleans
champion
Bowl
goes. Yes. Yes.
Blake Lovell up next, talking basketball.
We butchered that.
Oh, it was awful.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. It appears we are accident-free now. No stalls or traffic signal problems to report to you. Streets are wet, so you definitely want to be careful on that trip in. The $6 Big Box is back at Popeyes with 2 pieces of that hand-breaded Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides, and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeyes University and George 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Showers get out of the Tennessee Valley by the time we get to the lunch hour and then through the heart of the afternoon. Still, temperatures only climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s, well below where we should be this time of year. We should still be climbing into the mid and upper 60s. We drop into the mid 30s through the overnight, early into your Wednesday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
College basketball tonight, 13th ranked Auburn hosting Winthrop. The Tigers an 18.5-point favorite. 18th ranked Alabama in Mobile taking on South Alabama. The Tide a 12.5-point favorite. World Cup soccer underway Sunday. Brazil the plus 400 favorite to win it all, followed by France at plus 600, Argentina plus 650, England plus 700, and Spain plus 800. Alabama and Auburn stepping out of conference this weekend ahead of the Iron Bowl. The Tigers a 5.5-point home favorite Saturday against Western Kentucky. Alabama at home against Austin Peay. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We've had a lot of great college football conversation, but let's talk some college basketball, shall we? Because, yes, both Alabama and Auburn have played a couple games to start the year. Both are in action tonight. Yep. But if you look at college basketball as a whole, it is when the top 25 or the top 15 or the top 10 start facing off against each other. That's where we kind of really say in earnest the college basketball season begins, and you get that tonight. Kentucky and Michigan State, they meet each other. Duke is in action with another blue blood. So, I mean, really tonight is the night that people kind of really start putting eyeballs on college basketball.
Oh, no doubt about it. You got Duke, Kansas. I mean, they got a battle of blue bloods, Michigan State, Kentucky. So the SEC will be watched closely with Kentucky taking the floor. And then they got, DeJuan Wagner's son, DJ Wagner, committed to Kentucky yesterday. They got a historical recruiting class. Coach Calipari got the #1 class in America. I can't believe Will Levis' president didn't talk about that before he hung up. But we definitely enjoy talking college basketball with our next guest. He is a huge part of that booming YouTube channel at Southeastern 14 with Chris Lee. And, of course, we talked to Chris Lee on the Recruiting Blitz yesterday. But we always hook up with our next guest when it comes to college hoops because he's a hoopaholic. He also writes for Blue Ribbon Basketball, which is one of the Bibles in the business, and that is Blake Lovell, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Blake, how are you doing this morning?
Yeah, doing well, guys. Good to talk to you as always.
Good to talk with you, sir. And I know we're going to kind of throw you a little bit of a curveball the first question just because it was a topic that we had in our first segment because basketball came up. But you follow the sport for Blue Ribbon nationally. You follow the SEC very closely, but you keep up with the sport. What in blue blazes is going on at Florida State?
Yeah, they've certainly not had a great start, and I think overall the ACC is going to have an interesting season based on what we've seen.
And Louisville too.
But,
oof.
Yeah, you're going to have some teams in there that are, pretty bad, and I think that's. We've talked about kind of the ACC in recent years, and it's certainly been up and down and nowhere near what it was from top to bottom. But I think there's just a combination of things. I think it's just, injuries I think have played a role. Just not kind of getting everyone, I guess, on the same page. Just when you watch them play, it's just a team that I just don't see that chemistry there yet. And
right.
We always say, guys, that's the thing, right, is in these non-conference games, I said this to someone the other day, people are asking, well, why don't we see as many great games like to start college basketball, like opening night and that kind of thing? I'll be honest with you. I think this is a conscious effort for a lot of coaches that they have no idea what they have with their teams because they have new guys coming in and year out now. It's the transfer portal, I think, has really changed how coaches schedule because you can see your guys in the off season and you can do all these different things, but guess what? Until you actually see them in game settings come November, I think there's a lot that you're still learning about your team. There's a lot of different rotations you're trying, but any way you slice it, I mean, you could not have expected Florida State to be 0-3 right now, but here they are, and like I said, I honestly, guys, I think this is part of a bigger thing for the ACC. You're going to have some teams that are going to underachieve, to say the least, in that conference this season.
Wow. Do you feel that same way? I mean, is the SEC a little bit different? Your feelings with the SEC then a little bit different?
Yeah, I mean, the SEC, I think, is off to look, I know Tennessee losing to Colorado is going to get a lot of people talking because, that's a Colorado team that lost to Grambling State before, and I get it, but I still think that when you look at the SEC, I think Kentucky is – this, to me, could be as good of a Kentucky team as we've seen in a long time. I feel like we say that every year, but I think this team is already proving without its best player that team by itself, without the unanimous player of the year, is good enough to beat a lot of teams nationally, I think. And we'll see if that's the case tonight against Michigan State. But I think Kentucky has been so impressive thus far. I know it's 2 games, but again, if you just watch them play, forget the opponent for a second, you can tell that this is a team, I think, that's built like sort of those classic, John Calipari national championship-like teams. And I think that's what he has here. With this one, beyond that, I think Alabama's been the second team that I've been most impressed with at this point. I think it's the depth. I keep saying I think Alabama's deeper than Kentucky in terms of just the options they have to play with. And again, you're also talking about a team that hasn't played with, arguably, I'd say easily, right, guys, top 3 player at worst in Javon Quinterly on that roster. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, Auburn's off to, I think, a good start. They've got to figure out some shooting things. A&M's look good to me. I would have said Florida looked good until last night they got beat, and so that didn't work out too well for me. But Arkansas has been playing without its best player, so I think there's been a lot of kind of good things you've seen in the SEC thus far.
No doubt. And then Alabama's got their first road trip tonight. Richard, one of our great callers, an avid basketball fan, he's headed down to see Richie Riley and South Alabama take on the University of Alabama. South is coming off of a loss against New Mexico, 80-74. The Lobos are usually pretty good. And then they drilled an NAIA school, Mobile. But is this a dangerous trap for Alabama, or should they win this game tonight impressively?
Well, I think that's the thing is, I think it's always tricky because, look, right, I mean, we've seen some teams go on the road thus far and lose maybe games you don't think they should. And, we can point towards Colorado and playing those kind of games, but I think this is one where, obviously if you're South Alabama, we know how this works. You're coming to this with absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. I think there's something to that. And again, coming off a loss to New Mexico, but I still think this will be probably, look, Alabama should win the game. Now, could there be stretches where South Alabama certainly competes and makes this very interesting? I would say yes, just because I think you kind of give Richie Riley the benefit of the doubt sometimes in terms of what he's done as a coach there, and I think he'll have his guys ready to play. But like I said, guys, I just think Alabama, the depth right now has just been, it is something. Like again, I thought they'd come in having a lot of options to work with, but when you actually see what they've done to this point, you beat a Liberty team, which I think, Drew, I'm very high on Richie McKay. He's done a fantastic job at Liberty. I don't know if this will be one of his better teams he's had, but I don't care what team it is. To beat them the way that Alabama beat them has been one of the most impressive things I've seen in the SEC so far. So I think you just see how Alabama's playing right now. Obviously what Brandon Miller's done, when Mark Sears is making shots, he can put in 20 at any given point. The entire freshman group, whether it's Bradley, Griffin, all of those guys, I've just been really impressed with this team. So this is where, to me, you think about last year's Alabama team and this year's Alabama team. These are the kind of games that if you want to see kind of that difference in terms of mentality and those kind of things, this is the kind of game you need to go out and take care of business. And we'll see, kind of how Alabama does coming out of this one.
And you mentioned Auburn there, and you mentioned the shooting. A lot of things have gone and looked good for Auburn early, but shooting has not been one of them.
No, it hasn't. And, I don't think that's a surprise. I think that was the thing we talked about coming into the season. When we did our preview on Southeastern 14, we said, look, this is going to be a team that if you're expecting Auburn to be a great shooting team, it's almost been deceiving because I think a lot of us remember how great that team was and that Final Four team, how well they shot it. But you know what, guys? Since then, they've been a bad shooting team every year. And, I mean, you kind of look at the numbers, and they finished 301st in the season after, 225th, 269th, and now they're 348th right now in the country nationally in three-point percentage. So, like, they've been a below-average three-point shooting team since then. But, you know, they still won 28 games last year. Now, of course, the difference is you have Jabari Smith, you have Walker Kessler, and this is a team right now that I think is still kind of searching for its offensive identity. I don't know what that is just yet, and I think that's something they're going to have to get figured out because, you know, if they don't, that just makes the game a whole lot harder. And I think once you get into SEC play, it is going to be more challenging, I think, to just rely on your defense to stop a lot of SEC teams and try to keep up without maybe having that shot, you know, to make shots from outside. I mean, that's where, look, like a Chance Westry coming back, he'll help them, I think, in that area. But at the same time, I just feel like this is going to be a common theme because you look across the roster, you just don't have that three-point punch, and I'm just curious to see, you know, how they figure out some of these things offensively moving forward.
And I know it's a big rebuild, but I thought it was significant. And again, you already mentioned, and this is Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, that the ACC may continue to be in a down cycle. But considering what the roster turnover and you know, and what he's having, he basically had to start from scratch. He now getting G.G. Jackson to flip and reclassify from North Carolina was huge, but I thought the win for South Carolina over their rival Clemson was significant for Lamont Paris in year one.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, look, they're a team that, I'll be honest with you, when we did our preseason power rankings, I didn't really consider putting South Carolina anywhere but 14th. I just thought,
right.
Looked at the roster. I mean, even with Jackson, you just kind of looked at it and said, man, this looks like a team that is certainly a work in progress. But I think through two games, you know, it's kind of that weird thing, right, in college basketball early on is you beat the team that, you know, according to Ken Palm and others, is like a bottom 5 team in the country. You hold on to beat them by 3 at home on a Tuesday, and then a Friday you turn around and beat a solid ACC team at home by 2. So it's for them, I think, just having someone like Jackson is a big thing because that's the thing is, like, when we try to figure out identities for certain teams, like, who is that guy? Like, who is that go-to guy in those kind of situations that can get you a big play? Not necessarily just points, a rebound, any of those kind of things. And I think he can certainly be that guy this season for them. He has to be if they're going to win some games. But I think when you just look at their roster, you know, like a Hayden Brown, like, I think these are kind of guys that we just wanted to see how they fit into what they're going to do. But I think thus far, through 2 games, I think there's reason to be optimistic if you're a South Carolina fan because they are doing some good things, and it's just a matter of, you know, once you get into SEC play, how does that compare to the other rosters that you're going to see in the league? And I think that'll take some time for us to try to figure out.
We asked what was going on at Florida State because it was not off to a great start. I think we ask it every year, but we're going to ask it again. What is going on at Vanderbilt?
Well, it's not good what's going on at Vanderbilt because
oh man,
Drew, I tell you, like, it's guys, and Drew knows, like, going to a lot of Vanderbilt games over the years.
Yes,
you know, I can even remember back as a kid, like, just thinking about games and just that kind of scenario. But like that game against Southern Miss, I thought was probably one of the worst losses I've seen for a Vanderbilt team. And remember, this is a team that's just hit rock bottom, right? Like, I mean, they were 0 for whatever not long ago, but, like, this was one of those games where it's just, I think it's the context of everything. Like, Jerry Stackhouse is in year 4 now.
Yes.
And to be losing a game like that at home, I just think it's inexcusable. I don't think there's any excuse possible you can have for losing that kind of game. And I think that's where there's a lot of frustration with the fan base. Let's just put it that way, because it's not just that, right? It's what did they do before that game, basically, or not long ago. I mean, they gave him a contract extension, and here we are where they barely got over 500 last year overall, 19 and 17. They were 7-11 in the league. Had won 3 games in the league each prior to that, the 2 seasons prior to that, and now here they are losing a game at home to Southern Miss, and I don't know where they head from here. They play at Temple tonight. That actually could be a decent game. I just don't know really what to expect from Temple. But who just beat Villanova, right? And so it's just, I don't know where this program is headed. I think they have to recruit way better. I think that, and look, it's not that they don't have a bad recruiting class. It's just, it's building that depth, and I just don't think they have that depth. And again, to me, a loss to Southern Miss at home, I don't care if it's game 2 or game 32, it just shouldn't be happening in year 4. And I think right now we kind of just have to completely reset our expectations for Vanderbilt because I don't have high ones for them this season.
Yeah, we were only half joking that Lipscomb and Belmont are better.
No, I mean,
what a game it was last night. I mean, Lipscomb beats Belmont at the buzzer.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a fun one, and I think the thing is like, Casey Alexander was someone that Vanderbilt fans were very high on, trying to push for him to maybe be their coach at some point. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but, those are the kind of things. It's just, to me, as someone who's seen this Vanderbilt program for a long time, and I know a lot of people had their issues with Kevin Stalling, probably more so from a personality standpoint than a winning standpoint.
Yes.
I've always said, you just be careful kind of what you wish for, because Kevin Stallings did not, put Vanderbilt he put them in a really good place in basketball, and man, it's just wild to see what's happened to them since then. So.
Yeah, he was a good fit, and I don't think Jerry Stackhouse is, and that's what you're referring to. And we're talking to Blake Level of Southeastern 14, but I know it's not SEC related, Blake, but all of it anyway. But your thoughts really quickly on these two matchups tonight. As Scott said, really the start of college basketball because of these major intersectional collisions. But we saw Michigan State almost beat Gonzaga on, of course, the naval ship. But what about Michigan State tonight? They're going to take the floor in a huge matchup with Kentucky. And then you've got Kansas and Duke. What are your thoughts on both of those?
Yeah, I mean, I think, guys, Kentucky to me, with or without Oscar Tshiebwe, I just think they have some advantages here in this game. And one of the things, right, is something we're not used to seeing. Kentucky shot a decent percentage from three. They've been surprisingly good over the years. That I think that's kind of been misleading in terms of Kentucky can't shoot. It's just they haven't shot a lot. This year, they may not shoot a lot either, but my goodness, look at what they're doing thus far from three, just behind Antonio Reeves and C.J. Frederick. They've made 11 threes each in the first 2 games, shooting a very high percentage. I think that's a key in this game, and I think Kentucky can do some things on the interior that will really give them an edge against this Michigan State team. We saw what Drew Timme was able to do in that game for the Zags, so I think that's an possible advantage, especially if Tshiebwe returns. As for Kansas and Duke, I'm really looking forward to this one too, because I think these are 2 teams that you kind of know they're always going to be right there to start things off, but honestly, guys, at this point, we don't have, both of them have won their 2 games the way they should have, and I think this is kind of that big test as always early on. So I think, new era for Duke. You certainly see a lot of the same things from, what they've done before, but I think that one will be a lot of fun, to be honest with you.
And Blake, just for our listeners, kind of let them know, though, how good John Calipari's recruiting class is that he's assembled so far.
Well, it's pretty good, to say the least. And, it's just, again, I think this is where we were kind of half joking last year, right? We Cal's going to be this is going to be the Cal revenge tour. He's about to go out and just try to, do something that's just completely turn things around, because he's frustrated. Kentucky fans are frustrated, but he's got 4 of the top 10 recruits coming in now next season already. And, it's just are they going to build their entire roster around freshmen the way they used to? Maybe Cal's you know what, forget this transfer stuff. Let me just go out and get every freshman, and I'm just going to put everybody in there. But I think he's found the balance now that he wants. He's going to have, he's going to have 4 of the top 10 freshmen right now, but he's going to go out and combine that with guys that can completely, kind of build around those. But with DJ Wagner, Justin Edwards, Bradshaw, Dillingham, they've just got so many good players. And yes, once again, don't be surprised Kentucky's the pick to win it all next year or be in the top 2 at worst. So,
well, and then Blake, finally, my final question for you, just because it's still hard for me to process, and it will be when I see some of the game tonight, even though I'll probably have to record it, but it's still so crazy to think that Coach K is not going to be on the sideline and it's going to be John Shire, for good now. He's the head coach. I'm anxious to see their style of play and see if it changes at all.
Yeah, I think it's going to be curious to see because, I think in this era especially, it's just, we always say, even for a Duke, you just have to adapt to your personnel. And, I think it's just because it's the nature of, recruiting and transferring and all that. Like, that's just kind of what you've got to do. But, watching them a little bit in their first two games, obviously, they beat Jacksonville and USC Upstate. But I just think, John Shire's someone that he just, to me, I mean, it's kind of just like it's that quiet confidence, right, Drew? Like, it's just kind of one of those guys who's been there. He's been in that program. He understands what it takes. And I think, as we start to see this team kind of mold itself into what his vision of it's going to be, not necessarily what Coach K's was, I just think it's going to be kind of fun to watch them, kind of evolve here, especially throughout the non-conference. And then going into a conference slate that, to be honest with you, I looked at their conference schedule the other day, and, I mean, their conference schedule sets up to where they may win their first 5 games by, 100. I don't know, because they got Florida State in there. They got, Pitt, Boston College. So I kind of say that half jokingly. They got Wake Forest too. Steve Forrest does a good job.
He does. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch this team evolve. So.
No question about it, and you're one of the best college basketball minds we speak with. Let everybody know how to follow you and Chris, and I know you guys are going to have college basketball and the SEC covered wall to wall.
Yeah, I always appreciate it, guys. Like you said, Southeastern14.com. You can find everything there. Of course, if you go to YouTube, you can search for Southeastern 14. You'll find all of our college basketball, SEC basketball stuff. Of course, we've got previews up for every SEC football game this season, reactions, so you can find all that stuff there. But everything else on Twitter at @DBlakeLevel.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Blake. Let's get that break. Interesting stuff there, though, on college basketball.
Yeah,
That's some good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to what has been going on early in college basketball.
And don't forget Auburn fans, because Scott was talking about it. They play tonight, too. They play at 6, and it's going to be on SEC Network against the Winthrop Eagles in Auburn Arena. Neville Arena. I've got to start saying Neville.
Neville Arena. And Auburn could get Chance Westerly tonight for the first time. Yeah. He is yet to play. Mm-hmm. And John I. Broom is apparently he's available as well for tonight's game. So he has been bothered, I believe, with an ankle injury. So he should be able to go for Auburn as well. But they should get possibly a look at Chance Westerly. He did warm up the other day, did take some shots in the pregame, but has not played. He's that top 50 freshman for Auburn that is yet to play this season. Let's get a break in. Got a lot of good stuff to get to on the flip side of this break. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. It appears we are accident-free now. No stalls or traffic signal problems to report to you. Streets are wet, so you definitely want to be careful on that trip in. The $6 Big Box is back at Popeyes with 2 pieces of that hand-breaded Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides, and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeyes University and Jordan 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet and Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet and Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman, hope to see you soon.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And we're going to pile it on because the rest of the world is as well. And that is, I know you think he's a hack.
Oh.
But Matt Hayes has an article out. Just listen. It's entitled Jimbo Fisher's Buyout is Costing Texas A&M Its Credibility as a Football Program.
Well, this is glorious, though, because they are finishing dead-ass last.
So he says that Texas A&M's credibility is really what's at stake here. He says that a decade ago, Texas A&M, fresh into the SEC, rolls into Auburn. They score 63 points, and they get a win.
And they beat Alabama, too.
And they beat Alabama.
Yep.
And what do? They give Kevin Sumlin a $30 million contract extension that guaranteed him every penny if he was not fired without cause. So he got every penny
when they did
of that
have to
money.
fire him,
Yeah. And then they go in, they do $1 billion of facility renovations.
Mm-hmm.
They tripled the unthinkable, and they give Jimbo Fisher a $90 million contract extension.
Well, the dumber
Guaranteed.
one, though, but the dumber one was last year, though.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's all going into the $90 million guaranteed extension and everything. He says that they have the third most talented roster in the SEC. He says a coach that has his past 4 recruiting classes is 8th, 6th, and 4. They can't finish a sentence right now without these crutches. That says that's what's happened when you're young and inexperienced. It's just self-inflicted. The plays are there. We just have to execute them and do better. He says that scouts have told him, NFL scouts have said, and compared to the Ole Miss Texas A&M game, that one team looked like a mini NFL team and the other one looked like a good SEC team. That being the mini NFL team was Texas A&M, and they underperformed. He says that in 3 games against Florida, Ole Miss, and another one, he says that the Aggies, who have recruited 18 4- and 5-star defensive linemen, have given up 952 rushing yards.
Run. Auburn rushed for 200 yards.
Yep.
200-yard rushers, Jarquez Hunter and Tank.
They can't keep guys on the field for suspensions or anything
Not
else
wearing
like
sleeves
that.
and all that.
They have a coach that insists the offense is just around ready to turn the corner, but yet they only average 21.5 points a game and 108th in the nation. He says that Texas A&M, he says because firing Fisher would not only cost $86 million in buyout money, it's another $50 to $60 million investment for a new coach.
And you're not even talking about firing the staff.
Yeah. So that's why he says that it's losing its credibility with what they have now because of all going back to Kevin Sumlin and Jimbo Fisher, that this is Texas A&M losing its credibility. As much as Jimbo Fisher has been awful, it falls on the university for losing its credibility and doing what it's been doing.
I mean, it's horrific. Their leadership, they don't know who to hire. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, he's got a worse record than George Jefferson / someone.
Yeah.
I mean, I call him George Jefferson because, I mean, I was there in 2012 when they won. He was strutting around, after they beat Alabama, but, they took an anvil on the head the next year in College Station, and then until Jimbo beat Alabama last year, it had been since that time that they had beat the Tide. But I will say this, that's another reason they stupidly gave him another extension because he beat Alabama.
Is that a program or is that an institution that wants to be a contender in the SEC, wants to separate itself from Texas so bad, wants to separate itself from everything so bad.
They didn't want Texas in the conference. They were
going to throw money at something
Yeah.
To make it be like
They're
are
trying
the big boys.
to win. They just don't know how. That's the best way to. I mean,
that's perfectly put.
This will be the first time I'm not ripping them because they just don't know how. They've tried for years to win, and R.C. Slocum won some, even though they still cheated. But again, they don't know how to get out of their own way, and it's always been the same way with Texas.
Right.
There's too many cooks in the kitchen in both places, and they just can't win football games. They don't have a singular voice. like the program that's winning that our next guest is going to want to talk about.
Bob, the Georgia Dogs with us this morning, and they are winning, and they are looking.
They
good
know who
doing
they
it.
are, and they know who their coach is, and
Yep.
you know they have they have one singular voice in their football program.
Yep. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Morning.
A&M is just a disaster. We don't have to harp on that anymore.
Man.
So obviously I'm gonna talk about Georgia, but I want to tie it into Bama. A lot of my Bama friends have just been melting down lately, going crazy, and they all want to fire Pete Golden, and maybe Saban will fire him at the end of the year. I don't know. The more extremist Bama people are losing their mind, saying they need to get rid of Saban, which we all know is ridiculous.
Oh my Lord! I don't even want to talk about.
Exactly, that's insane. But if he does fire Pete Golden, I've heard a rumor that Saban may come after Glenn Schumann. Schumann's a Bama grad. He was there when Kirby was there back in the day on the Bama staff with Saban. He's done a great job the past few years at Georgia, and he's in this weird place right now. He's technically the defensive coordinator, but he also has Muschamp kind of looking over his shoulder as the co-defensive coordinator, and I think that's because Kirby and Muschamp are boys.
Mm-hmm.
Muschamp's been a head coach twice, or 3 times, however many times he's done it. So if I'm Schumann, and I'm sitting there saying, hey, man, I've had these arguably last year was one of the best defenses ever. This year's defense is great again. And you're paying me decent, but I'm not the guy? What's going on here? Do you think Saban makes a move and tries to go get Glenn Schumann from Georgia?
I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. I think that would be a very real chance there, because he was an analyst at Alabama. And the other part of it is, and you sort of mentioned it, Bob, but he's an Alabama grad. His father played for Coach Bryant, so he has very deep ties. And if Nick Saban allowed him to be the singular voice defensively, of course Saban would be heavy-handed in it, but of course Kirby is. But see, here's my question, and this is the thing that I've been wondering. I know Kirby, when he first got to Georgia, I think he was still calling the defensive signals, even as the head coach. Who calls the defenses now? Is it Schumann or is it Muschamp?
Well, obviously last season it was
Lanning,
kind of in a supporting role.
Yeah.
This year it's supposed to be Schumann,
right?
But honestly, I feel like Muschamp. They truly are like co-defensive coordinators.
Gotcha.
And it's this weird marriage where, well, who's in charge? Do we look at Coach Schumann or do we look at Muschamp, who's having a fit on the sideline right now? Who's the boss? And I just see and demonstrated that he is a legit coach.
Mm-hmm.
Having Muschamp get it, Kirby and Muschamp go way back, but having Muschamp there sends mixed signals and makes it weird for Schumann. It's like he's got his uncle there over his shoulder all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that as a reason that Schumann, if Saban wanted to dump Golding, which I think he probably will, Schumann would be a great hire for them. I would hate to lose him. I would hate to lose him at Georgia because, he's done such a fantastic job. But it just makes too much sense if he is the true defensive coordinator. Got it. Saban's the overlord that's going to be on top of him, but Kirby's no different. And he doesn't have to deal with Uncle Muschamp on his back all the time. I think that's a slam dunk hire for Bama if they went that way and got rid of Golding.
Yeah. Well, I do think that he would be on the short list, certainly. I've been asked about that already, and I do think Pruitt would be as well, but Pruitt has the issues with the Tennessee hanging over his head. Glenn Schumann does not. Yeah. I know that Kirby has tried to take care of Schumann and, brought him with him. I know he's making, I think, over $800,000 right now. Now, I was told there could be some other things going on, like with Schumann and Kirby, where maybe Schumann feels like and it's kind of some of the things you're referencing, Bob, that he's not the guy, and he thought he would be when Lanning left. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. as far as balancing the staff, because Georgia right now is the favorite to repeat. There's no question about it. Certainly, if they do, then Schumann is going to be in a position of power with wanting a raise or even potentially going to another school. I think the only school he would leave Georgia for, though, would be Alabama.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll tell you, Glenn Schumann, a lot of people don't know him. They think last year was all about Dan Lanning, and Dan Lanning was a great coach, and obviously he's doing awesome at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
But Glenn Schumann is a big recruiter. Roquan Smith, he's the reason he came to Georgia because Glenn Schumann, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, all these guys, NFL guys, are because of Glenn Schumann. And people think, oh, it's Kirby, it's Glenn Schumann. I'm telling you, from folks I talk to that know Athens real well, Glenn Schumann is the guy, and people are starting to worry he's going to leave. And I think that would be a coup for Alabama to get him because he's a Bama guy. He went to Bama. He's a Bama guy through and through. But he's staying loyal to Kirby right now. But I bet you if old Grandpa Nick Saban calls and says, "Hey, you'll be the coordinator, and I'll pay you $1 million a year," that's a $200,000 pay raise, and you're the guy and don't have to deal with Muschamp taking over your meetings. He's going to jump ship.
Well, he might, and I think Alabama fans would trade Pete Golding for Glenn right now. That Kirby could have Pete.
Yeah. All right, fellas. I enjoyed it. Y'all have a good one.
See you, Bob.
Thanks. Yeah, we got a message on Facebook from someone that said, hey, if Bama does move on from Pete Golding,
right.
Hey, bring in Jeremy Pruitt. We need Jeremy Pruitt back. But that's not as easy.
It's not just because of the NCAA stuff, with this investigation at Tennessee, and they keep filing for extensions and things of that nature. And we've seen how that was tough because Hugh Freeze wanted back in the league, and Greg Sankey didn't allow that to happen. I even heard Saban tried to hire, Jeremy as an analyst to get him back on staff this year, and it was blocked because of the NCAA situation. It took Bo Davis a while to get back into college football because he had to leave after an incident in 2014. So it just some of this stuff happens, man, and so you have to deal with it. And so I do think Jeremy would be a great fit too. But Bob brings up some interesting points about Glenn Schumann, and I know his name has come up with several people I've spoken with about, speculating what Nick Saban might do at the end of the year and if he might move on from Pete Golding or if Pete may finally – there's going to be jobs opening up, Scott. We've already talked about it, like both, as assistant coaches and even, of course, as on the small college level, like as far as smaller schools, head coaching jobs coming open, that maybe Pete Golding gets a look because of the success he's had at Alabama. Because, again, he's had success. It's just, the way you're judged at Alabama is different than at other places.
All right, 8:43. Let's get that final break in. When we come back, tomorrow's headlines today, and we got a bunch to get to.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just getting a new wreck in Morgan County. This one is going to be the 400 block of Apple Grove Road. Injury and possible entrapment there. Got West Limestone and Charles being reported with an injury. 53 south of Jeff also reported as an injury-type accident. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick and the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized locally respected.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit AVIQHSV.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The best local sports talk with the best in college football. A perfect combination. Hi, this is Chris Stewart. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right. We head to baseball.
Here we go.
Our first headline of the day, Michael Harris II
Money
edges
Mike.
his teammate Spencer Strider for NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, they finished top 2. And again, I would have voted for Michael Harris. And I love Strider, but he plays every day. And he played Gold Glove defense. And really, I think the Braves lineup started coming to fruition and really stepping up when he was inserted in center field and in the everyday batting order.
So Harris and Strider, just the fourth pair of teammates to finish 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay, joining, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Craig Kimbrell and Freddie Freeman in
There
2011.
You go. Couple pretty good players.
The Cubs, Jerome Walton and Dwight Smith in 89.
Jerome Walton and Dwight Smith. Wow, that's bringing back some memories. And I don't think Jerome was worth a tinker's dink the rest of his career after that.
And in the 1984 season, the Mariners, Alvin Davis. And Mark Langston.
Oh, the pitcher Mark Langston. There you go.
Yeah.
But, man, Dwight Smith and Jerome Walton.
Never to be heard of again, Jerome Walton.
Jerome Walton, I don't think did he hit 200 after that? I mean, I remember how good as he was as a rookie, and Dwight Smith had a nice career, but I just don't remember Jerome Walton doing anything after that.
I don't either.
I mean, I was 14 years old.
I mean, I really don't.
I am, man, but I'm just saying, you know. I just don't remember. I mean, we had WGN, so you saw the SOBs all the time.
I did. SOBs, thanks.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not calling them that. I'm just,
you just did. Anyway.
I'm just saying you saw the Cubs all the time. I'm not a Cubs fan.
You saw the Braves, too, because they were on
TBS. TBS and WGN, man. That's what you saw.
WGN and TBS.
Hey, there was even one time, there was even this channel that came in where we had to watch the friggin' Mets. And Ralph Kiner and those guys did the games.
I'm sure that drove you
insane.
insane.
My God. And it was in the mid-'80s, Scott, when they were actually worth a dang.
Yeah,
so you had
Dwight Gooden,
yeah,
Darryl Strawberry.
So it was around the time that the Mets won the World Series disgustingly over the Red Sox when, the Buckner deal happened. I mean,
Monday Night Football last night, the Eagles no longer unbeaten. They lose to the Commanders 32-31.
Come on, just keep the guy in there. Quit! I can't believe that they're thinking about bringing Bust back into the lineup.
Bust.
Yeah. Carson Wentz.
Oh, yeah.
He's missed like 4 weeks with a broken finger. When he was in there, he stunk. The last time he was any good was the Super Bowl year for Philly, and he got hurt at the end of the year, and Nick Foles still won the Super Bowl, and ever since then, he hadn't had one good year. I mean, the Colts thought so little of him, they got rid of him after a season.
So the NFC East, by the way, in case you're keeping track at home, the only division in the NFC where everybody's 500 or better.
Mm-hmm.
And in the AFC East has everybody 500 or better. The only division in the AFC with the Dolphins leading the way with the Jets. Dolphins 7-3, Jets 6-3, Bills 6-3. And then in the NFC East, the Eagles are 8-1, Giants are 7-2, Cowboys 6-3, Commanders 5-5.
I haven't looked. Are the P-men at 500 or are they above 500? Patriots.
Patriots are 5-4.
So they are slightly above 500.
Yeah, 5-4.
Gotcha.
Yep. Dolphins 7-3, Jets 6-3, Bills 6-3.
Hope he can keep it up. Is playing awfully well after all these people said he sucked.
Your Titans are 6-3 as well. They're leading the dismal AFC South. They are the only team above 500 in the AFC South are the Tennessee Titans. The Colts are 4-5, Jaguars 3-7, and the Houston Texans are 1-7.
I mean, the Houston.
That may be the worst division in all of the NFL. Well, no, the NFC South is just as awful.
Oh, they are. I mean, think about it.
The Bucs are 5-5.
The Bucs
Falcons
will probably still
4-6.
win that division. If they don't, it'll be a huge upset.
And the Arizona Cardinals, who we've talked about, Cliff Kingsbury, this show, they're 4-6.
Oh, and the Rams stink even worse.
They're 3-6.
Yeah. They're losing all their games at home in front of – I mean, but the thing is, Los Angeles, I could say more, but they have such pathetic fans. I mean, they've got that SoFi Stadium, and Scott, if you watch a Rams game, you can't even tell who's at home because the other team brings more fans than the Clown Patrol does.
That's where the College National Championship game is.
I know, and it's just like Chuck Oliver said on the Chuck Oliver Show that you hear 10 to noon live here every day on 97.7. It makes no sense to be playing it at SoFi Stadium. Yeah, it's a great venue, I'm sure, to watch a game, but it makes no sense to fly Ohio State and probably Georgia out there to play and to play in front of all those people. The people in California won't even know that the game's even being played. I
don't think they cared when it was in Santa Clara.
I mean,
I'd
like to know.
Stadium.
See, the thing is, there's so few people. You could probably get some people to go in there and count how many people, except for maybe at Autzen Stadium in Oregon, how many people actually attend a game in the Pac-12, especially in the state of California. When you've got the great Stanford Cardinal and you've got UCLA, who's 8-2, but you still got 2 dogs and a cat at the games. I mean, how is USC drawing? I haven't. I don't know that, but I mean, it just seems like fans don't care out there.
Well, they don't. Let's see here. Let's see if time is out. I was going to see if I could pull up UCLA's last home game.
Oh, it was awful early.
And the box score, let's see if it's in the box score here. Usually they have, the attendance for Arizona UCLA was they put it in the box score as 44,000.
Oh, my Lord. That means there was luckily to be 20 probably.
At the Rose Bowl.
Hey, don't forget tonight, come support some basketball. Hazel Green ladies under Tim Miller, 5-time state champs. They take on Huntsville. And then after that, Jeremy Crutcher's Hazel Green boys take on the Crimson Panthers. So there'll be some good high school basketball tonight, in addition to Alabama and Auburn taking the court in college hoops.
The Rose Bowl holds 90,000.
I know, which means there was 20 there. They don't care. It's a toilet.